Let me recognize the gentleman from Kansas, Mr. Estes, to inquire.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for joining us today. Everyone in America deserves the chance to experience the dignity that comes through work. For us here in the committee, the right public policy can help create paths for Americans to do just that, while bad policy can do just the opposite, trapping thousands of Americans within a bureaucratic nightmare and taking away their hope and ambition. Under the last administration, we saw a special emphasis on American workers who had been forgotten by Washington experts. Thanks to the once-in-a-generation tax reform through this committee, we were able to lift all Americans' economic prospects, especially forgotten workers who've been hit so hard with the previous decades through outsourcing and tax hikes. Cutting taxes and creating an environment where folks actually want to go to work and take the risk to start a business makes for stronger families, stronger communities, and a stronger America. While some here claim that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act only benefited the wealthy Americans, the opposite's really true. Unlike the Democrats' SALT gimmick, which benefits wealthy Americans on each coast, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act created expansive growth. That meant real wages grew nearly twice as fast for the bottom 10% compared to the top 10%, and real wealth at the bottom 50% of households rose 3 times faster than that at the top 1%. After the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act reform, the American economy was the strongest it's ever been, and when we have a strong America, we all have more opportunity. That's how the American dream works. Unfortunately, that dream is a lot harder today for millions of Americans that are now living paycheck to paycheck, thanks to President Biden's inflation. Unrestrained spending on liberal pet projects and socialist experiments have fueled rising prices over the last 14 months, creating so much heartache for that once again forgotten families. With total Democrat control of this Congress, we've seen the incredible sum of $6 trillion in government spending and $3 trillion in new taxes proposed last year. Many economists, including within their own party, like Larry Summers, warned this spending blowout would lead to runaway inflation. It's a shame that Speaker Pelosi and President Biden ignored these warnings. The results have been especially hard for certain minority groups. Black women and Hispanic men are reporting the highest proportions of major economic strain due to high prices, both at 44%. Inflation is already taxation, but the Biden administration has taken it a step further with a tax hike in the so-called Build Back Better plan. This legislation would raise taxes on minority-owned small businesses, which account for more than 50% of 2 million new businesses and 4.7 million jobs. So instead of focusing on increasing economic opportunity for all, the Biden administration has prioritized handouts for some well-connected elite groups. The Build Back Better plan includes major tax cuts and subsidies for electric vehicles. In 2019, the largest demographic for electric vehicle owners was middle-aged white men earning more than $100,000 annually with at least one other vehicle in their household. A write-off for Californians to buy an EV does not help the forgotten workers in our crumbling cities. These policies just don't advance economic opportunity for minorities. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act resulted in historic highs for the income for Black, Hispanic, and Asian Americans, all-time lows for unemployment, and more than 6 million people were lifted out of poverty. You know, a significant barrier for members of historically marginalized communities who seek to start or grow businesses is a lack of access to capital. You know, investments to benefit entrepreneurs in disenfranchised communities is exactly what the Opportunity Zone program was designed to provide, which is why so many Republicans and Democrats co-sponsored the original Opportunity Zone legislation. Mr. Ortiz, can you comment on that a little bit and talk about how you've seen benefits out of that program?
Thank you for answering that. I apologize. Yeah, the benefits, again, that we've seen out of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act has been tremendous. From a small business perspective, everyone that we were talking to right away started investing back in their business, either through hiring more people, paying them more wages, paying them better benefits, or literally reinvesting back in their businesses. I don't know of a single small business owner, for example, and you mentioned what percentage they actually are of new job growth. It is tremendous, right, in terms of the impact that they have on job growth in this country, which is why I spend so much time talking about it. But when you look at the impact that it has had, I don't know of a single small business owner that says, I'm going to take everything that I own, credit card, I'm going to bring down my credit card, I'm going to take a line of credit on my house so that I can invest in my small business so I can just keep it exactly where it is. That's not what they do, right? They invest and they take those risks because they want to grow, right? They want to build. And so the idea that, basically, the investments that we made as a country in the Tax and Jobs Act didn't have a positive impact to this country and was only for the top 1%, frankly, is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and I've gone over my time, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman.